Hey there humans, Bob here, welcome to another Marvel Avengers guide video. Today we're going to go through how to complete the first raid, Discordant Sound. Before we get going with this one though, don't forget to drop a like, it massively helps to get more eyes on the video, and it's completely free. Right, now that's over with, let's get on with the video. So, first of all, let's just go over some housekeeping. You're going to want to go in at least a little prepared. Make sure that you've got a decent enough build that provides you with enough damage output, but also allows you to take some hits too. Because the raid itself isn't just about dealing damage like we're used to with Avengers content, but about puzzle solving, coordination, and timing too. As always, I'd highly suggest that you look to team up with people to raid with, as it'll really help you so you can decide prior to the raid who is going to play who and what stats effects you're going to run with. If you aren't running it with people, you should know it might be a little bit harder without decent communication or potential dropouts either from disconnects or rage quits. Here's a couple of tips before we go in. Number 1, run Vibranium on your main attack. Echoes take more damage from it. Number 2, run Sonic 2 or coordinate with your teammates to do so, as it'll allow you to proc the battery effect much quicker. 3, have at least one flyer, as it'll make some of the puzzles a lot quicker. 2 or more makes some parts incredibly easy. Number 4, if you can't have a flyer, have Kate Bishop with the wormhole arrow. It'll save a lot of time. Number 5, have a healer. Kamala and Hawkeye are more valuable here than any other mission. And number 6, use a headset. Communication makes this whole thing easier. Without it, some sections are extremely difficult. So, as soon as you load in, you'll need to head to the entrance of the Vibranium Mound. If you're playing as Iron Man or Thor, head directly for the objective across the chasm and take out the turrets. This will make things easier for the rest of your team, but basically, this is 2 phases of clearing enemies out before triggering the cutscenes where the Dora Milaje will help you get into the Vibranium Mound. Bear in mind, some enemies that you will encounter here will have phases that make them impervious to all damage other than Vibranium, so make sure someone in your team is running it, as mentioned earlier, to make this stage easier. Next, you'll encounter your first mini-boss in the form of a giant robot spider. Basically, this is a simple do damage in phases to clear this stage. You'll be able to attack the spider for a certain amount of time and or damage, and it will then become shielded. You'll then have to clear the ads that appear and then back to damaging the spider. Rinse and repeat until it's defeated and move on to the next stage. Take advantage of any battery effect your team has to clear this stage as fast as possible. This next stage is the first puzzle stage of the raid. It's pretty straightforward, but make sure you and your teammates can manage holding a capture point by yourselves. There are 3 points in this room and a platform with 3 buttons. Each hero must take a point each and have one teammate stay on the platform with the buttons. As you capture your point, they will turn blue. Once all points are captured, they will turn purple. Once that has occurred, the teammate on the platform will have to press each of the 3 buttons to bring up a safety bubble that will save you from the sonic blast from Klaw, but also weaken the barrier, stopping you from moving to the next stage. Once the bubble is up, you can have all teammates move to the bubble, or just have them stay in the shadows. As long as the red light from Klaw isn't on you, you should be fine. Another tip to make this go faster too is that once the capture points turn purple, you can have your teammates return to the main platform and help press the buttons. This saves time, but also helps ensure that you get all the buttons pressed. Do this 3 times to access the tram that takes you to the next stage. Another note on the enemies here, be aware of the spiders that will pull you off the capture points. They can really slow you down, but also the echo drones. They take much more damage from Vibranium, so try to have a ranged attack that has this stats effect to clear them more efficiently. Once you arrive in the next stage, you'll see a cutscene with Giant Klaw. Once you regain control of your character, you'll immediately see him charge up a sonic blast. Avoid this by breaking the line of sight, by hiding by anything that covers you in a shadow. Now, whilst you can go left or right at this stage, we are going to go right, so turn right, make your way to the first door, and stand on the pressure pad outside of it. This will light up the first glyph on the panel and open the door. After this, get your teammates to go through and step on the 2 following pressure pads to let the first teammate through the door and allow them and the teammate who has yet to stand on the pressure pad through the second door. Once they are through, get one of them to stand on the pressure pad just past the second door to allow the 2 teammates that are on the pads through. At this point, everyone should be in this room that has a bridge-like path going up to the right and a door below it with a pad in front of it. Now, before explaining the next bit, I want to give you a bit of an understanding of how this works. Consider this puzzle like an electrical current almost, and the pressure pads are how you connect the current to the doors. Starting from the bottom, the panel glyphs that we'll refer to as 1, 2, 3, and 4, starting with 1 as it is the first to appear at the bottom, we'll need to connect all these points together to open all of the doors. If the connection is broken, then someone will be left behind and you won't be able to complete the next stage. Also, as a side note, make sure you watch out for Klaw's Sonic Blast and have someone on your team just to do the callouts. Even if you think everyone is aware, make sure to call it out just in case. For the sake of this puzzle, I'm going to use this infographic that I've prepared as it shows the puzzle in its entirety and adds all the detail that will be presented to you, but in a bird's eye format. Let's go through the steps. For the sake of the explanation, I'll refer to teammates by their numbers, doors by their numbers, and pressure pads by the placement of the glyph on the door panels. Bear in mind that in this example, pressure pad 1 would be denoted by the glyph that appears at the bottom of the door panel, and pressure pad 4 would be noted by the glyph that appears at the top of the door panel. Right, let's do this. Right, so this infographic actually shows the entire process. Some of it we've already completed. We've actually already done step 1 and 2. We've covered that already. So jump to step 3 if you do want to just carry on. But this is the whole puzzle. So I'm going to explain it in its entirety, step by step. Let's do this. Step 1. Teammate number 1 steps on the pressure pad number 1 to open door number 1. Step 2. Teammate number 2 steps on pressure pad 1 inside past door number 1 to hold the door for teammate number 1. Also, teammate number 3 steps on pressure pad 2 to open door number 2. Step 3. Teammate number 1 steps on pressure pad number 2 inside past door 2 to hold down the door for the remaining teammates. Teammate number 4 drops down onto the bottom level and steps on pressure pad number 1 to open door 3. Step 4. Teammate number 2 steps on pressure pad number 1 inside past door 3 to hold the door for remaining teammates. Also, teammate number 3 steps on pressure pad number 2 to open door number 4. Step 5. Teammate number 1 steps on pressure pad 2 to hold the door, whilst teammate number 4 steps on pressure pad number 3 to open door number 5. Step 6. Teammate number 3 steps on pressure pad number 3 inside past door number 5 to hold the door for teammate number 4, who can now pass through and step on pressure pad 4 to open the final door, door number 6. Step 7. Teammate number 2, who should be the furthest away at this point, can now pass all the way to the end of the puzzle and step on pressure pad number 4 to hold the final door open. Step 8. Teammate number 1, who should now be the furthest away at this point, can now pass all the way to the end of the puzzle. And finally, step number 9, the remaining teammates can pass through the final door at the end of the puzzle. After this, you will need to defeat the enemies that spawn here. I advise taking out the turrets first, then the remaining enemies, and after all the enemies have been taken care of, line up in front of the 4 buttons in front of the elevator and time the button presses together to open the elevator. Once you come out of the elevator, you'll be greeted by a corridor. Just proceed through it to the forge at the end. For this stage, you're going to need to split your team up again. If you have flyers, this stage is going to be a lot easier as they will be able to maneuver around the whole forge with ease. Let's make an assumption that you don't have any flyers for now and run through how you can actually do this as quickly as possible, and I'll highlight where a flyer can actually make this stage easier so you can understand how to do it even with a 4 stack of hulks if you're wild enough to try it. Okay, so first things first, have one of your team members go to the bottom of the forge. There will be a capture point there that serves 2 purposes. Number 1, it disables the insta-kill mechanic on the top platform so your teammates can access the objective there, and also indicates which glyph is the current focus for the teammate on the top platform. So, if you haven't figured it out yet, at least one teammate should also head to the top platform and stand on the platform up there. Be aware you will need to wait for the teammate below to capture the point and deactivate the trap mentioned before, which is shown by pulsing blue sound waves. Once that is done, communicate with the team on the below platform to see which glyph is the current focus. There are 5 glyphs in this stage, and we will refer to them here as Trident, Fish, 4, Down Arrow, and H. Once you know the current glyph, the team member or members at the top will need to hit the corresponding canister until the energy bars are full. Once full, the canister will disappear and push out the corresponding canister on the sides of the forge. At this point, the teammates that are not holding the bottom point should now begin attacking the corrupted vibranium attached to the canister that is exposed on the side of the forge. A little tip here, if you have flyers, you can literally have them float between hitting the canisters on the top platform and then having them attack the canisters on the side. There is no need to hold the top platform, only the bottom. You'll need to repeat this process until all 5 side canisters have been cleared completely of corrupted vibranium. Be careful of the sonic blast from Giant Klaw as you go, and you should have this cleared in no time. A couple of things to help you do it a little faster, by the way. Iron Man's lasers will be able to cut almost entirely through the forge and definitely through each canister, as well as Widow as well. Try and use Thor's Odin Force attacks as well to clear them very quickly. Once this stage is complete, you'll be returned to where you were before the door puzzle. This time you're going to want to go left across the platforms. For this one, I've prepared another infographic to help you out. A bit of housekeeping here to explain the infographic itself. The blue platforms are always on and safe, the red items are either not present or unsafe in that particular step, and green are present and safe. Any platform with an inner circle represents a capture point or a pressure pad. So again, for this example, I'll explain how this would work if you only have grounded characters. If you have a team consisting solely of flyers, i.e. Iron Man, Thor, or even Spider-Man, as mechanically he counts as a flyer, you can simply fly over the entire puzzle and completely ignore it. As well as this, if you have a Kate Bishop on your team and you enable the wormhole arrow on her Assault Heroic, you can also bypass the puzzle for your entire team just using that to cross the platform safely. There is also a pretty cheeky cheese that allows you to bypass the entire puzzle just by having a single flyer go all the way to the end of the puzzle, then let everyone get hit by one of Klaw's sonic blasts, outside of the flyer obviously. At this point, you could just wait for the respawn to kick in and everyone will spawn on the flying character at the end of the puzzle. But like I say, let's explain it as if you don't have any flyers at all. Step number 1. Teammate number 1 steps on the first capture point. This will materialize the first jumping platform and neutralize the insta-kill mechanic on the second platform. Step 2. Teammate number 2 steps on the capture point on the second platform that creates a wall run wall. Step 3. The remaining teammates that stayed on platform 1 can now run across to the third platform and capture that point, and then have the remaining teammate join you on platform 3. Step 4. After clearing the enemies on the midway platform, have teammate number 1 wall run across the left platform capture point and have teammate number 4 do the same but on the right side. This will materialize the platforms that allow the other teammate to reach the center platform. Be aware that if the teammate on the right side platform leaves the capture point, the center platform will insta-kill those on it, and you'll have to wait for them to respawn and start this half of the puzzle again. Step 5. Have teammate number 2 stand on the pressure pad on the center platform, whilst teammate 3 crosses all the way over to the end of the puzzle. This will also enable the final wall run walls for the teammates on the left and right platform to cross. Time it so each of you cross to the end at the same time. Now you'll be greeted by a group of enemies. Take out the turrets first, then the rest, and once they're defeated, go to the elevator buttons, press them all together, and get in the elevator. This stage is the control room stage. You will see Shuri sat in a circular control room as you go in. She is there to apply a white noise blast to deactivate the large corrupted vibranium spires that are growing around the room. There are 6 in total, 3 on top and 3 on bottom, and they can only be damaged when you and your team have a buff called anti-metal. This buff can only be obtained by accessing the outer corridor in this stage. To do that, you need to have one of your teammates hold the door that is labelled 4. This one's the easiest because it is the center door and gives you the best opportunity of finding the antimetal as fast as you can. Then, once the door is open, have a mobile character, again preferably a flyer as there are mines all across the floor, have them go through the door and have a quick look to your left or right and you'll be able to see if the anti-metal buff is there. It's a metallic triangle that glows yellow. If you can't see it immediately, continue around the corridor until you find it. Be careful of the enemies, the mines on the floor, and the indestructible turrets that fire missiles. An additional tip here, if you do want to do this a little bit quicker, make sure that you get one of your teammates to actually check the windows that are right at the front of the stage where you'll be seeing Klaw. If you look through the side windows to the corridors, you'll actually be able to see if the anti-metal buff is all the way on the right or all the way on the left. This will help you do it just that little bit faster. Once you find the buff, run into it to grab it. Ignore the enemies if you can, as you'll now have a 90-second timer counting down. this is the time you have to get back to the center room and deal damage to the corrupted vibranium spires. In order to enable other teammates to cause damage to the spires, they will also need the buff. They can receive a 5-second version of it just by being in proximity to the teammate who grabbed the buff. Ranged characters excel here, as they should be able to get a line of sight on all spires if they stand in the center near the buff sender. Just damage each spire until it has no health left, and keep causing them damage as they do regain health until the anti-metal buff expires. Once it does, Shuri will send out a white noise blast that disables any spires that have had enough health depleted. You can easily one-phase this stage if you have enough ranged characters, but if you don't manage all 6 spires in one stage, just repeat the process until you're done. Now you'll be treated to a short cutscene with Zawahiri before the first fight with Giant Klaw. As soon as you get control of your character, you'll need to hide from the Sonic Blast Claw outputs. Do this by hiding in the shadows behind the purple pillars. Do not hide behind the red ones, as they will not protect you and you will go down right away. The objective here is pretty simple: survive the onslaught of enemies and Klaw's Sonic Blast until Zawahiri is fully powered up and he will pin Klaw to the ground so you can literally shoot him in the eye, taking down his health. You may have to repeat this for multiple phases, so make sure you're communicating with your team around when to heal, buff, and revive each other. Don't forget to call out those Sonic Wub-Wubs too. Whilst this stage is relatively straightforward, you can massively speed it up just by ensuring that you defeat Echo enemies, which are the pink glowy ones, inside the center circle. You'll know when they're in the circle itself because it'll glow with a green hue. After defeating them, a section of the floor will light up and you'll get a damage buff to boot. If you defeat 5 of these enemies in this way, you can trigger the damage phase a lot quicker. Rinse and repeat until all his health is depleted. Time for another quick cutscene, and then it's time for the final fight. At launch there have been a few bugs, so bear in mind that I'll mainly try to cover how these phases should work. If everything works as it should, you will just have to repeat this 4 times, but if you're able to output enough damage, you may be able to burn past the trigger for the next phase. So, as soon as you exit out onto the platform, Klaw will go into his giant form and aim his arm laser at you. The best way to make sure your entire team doesn't go down, as this attack is a one-shot, is to split up across the 3 platforms. There are 2 on the upper level, to the left and the right, and the center one on the lower level is where you start. If he aims at one of the platforms, the others should be safe. Note though that due to a bug, sometimes he may do more than one laser attack, and it also may not be visible or dodgeable. This is a known bug, hopefully it will get fixed soon. If you find your team getting wiped by this though, there is a small safe zone if you go up to the platform on the right and hug the area where the door and the vibranium spike are and jump continuously so you can save yourself. If you're unable to do that, try using any attack that has an iframe like Thor's Bifrost, or even use the Hulkbuster to completely avoid these attacks, at least until he starts to walk towards you. When Klaw gets close to the platform, he will do another attack where he slams his arm into the platform and starts sending out damaging ring pulses. You can either jump over these or perfect evade them as a grounded character, or if you're using a flying character, fly to the flight ceiling and relax up there as the rings cannot hit you. Whilst this is all happening though, you have an opportunity to be causing stun damage to him. Use attacks that apply stun damage or gear perks that help in that regard. Or use a build with a lot of intensity to also help out. Another quick tip here, if you have a Kate Bishop on your team, have them run the specialization on the ultimate heroic that allows rapid fire. This causes a staggering amount of stun damage that will really help in this phase. Once he is finished with this attack, Klaw will turn into a smaller version of himself again and land on one of the platforms. You should continue to attack him, causing stun damage until the white meter under his health bar is full. He will have a variety of attacks in this phase, usually a ranged attack that hits extremely hard and focuses on flyers, followed by a stomping pulse attack that focuses on grounded characters, which is also pretty hefty. In these phases, you may see some large portals appear across the platforms. Make sure to destroy them by damaging them before the health bar fills, or they will spawn strong echo enemies that will just make the fight that much harder. Once his stun meter is full, the doors at the back of the upper platforms will open up. Send your lowest DPS character through this gauntlet. They can go either way for this, and once they reach the room at the far back, they will trigger an anti-metal buff that allows the rest of the team to apply damage to Klaw's health. Once you've done a certain amount of damage, the stage will reset and all of the above will repeat. Again, you'll usually have to do it 4 times, but if you hit him hard enough, you can do it in less. And that's it. Congratulations on completing the first ever Marvel Avengers raid. But that's it for this one. I hope you enjoyed it or at least found it useful. If you did, please like, subscribe, and if you want to come and talk about this live, come check me out over on twitch.tv/BobDuckNWeave or connect with me on socials at BobDuckNWeave. You can find the links in the description down below. Also, if you'd like to support the channel, consider clicking the join button and becoming a member. You'll get emotes that you can use in the comments, live chat, and a cool badge that evolves along with your membership, which looks super cool when I stream over here on YouTube. Thanks again, and as always, stay safe, stay awesome, and I'll see you all soon. Bye-bye.